All right. Hi, everyone. Good morning. Or afternoon, wherever you are in the country. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Anna Johnson, and I am the marketing director of Floyd Wickman team. I'm super excited to be here with all of you today. I'm usually more behind the scenes person, but today I'm front and center with you all. Today our speaker is Tyler Stenkin. He's with Cole Information, Cole Realty Resource. He's been a manager with them for over 15 years, so he knows his stuff. He's going to be our presenter today. Welcome, Tyler.
Thank you.
His topic is the 3 winning formulas to dominate your farms. So we won't be keeping you for too long, but expect around 25 minutes of presentation, and then we'll have some time for questions in the chat whatever.
If you have questions throughout, guys, please ask them away. That's for sure. And if you want to monitor those questions as we go, and we'll have plenty of time afterwards too to go over those. So thanks for the opportunity. Super excited to present to everybody. And my backstory, guys, I've been here at Cole for 15 years. My first job out of college was a marketing major at the University of Nebraska. So we're based in Nebraska, Omaha. I live in Lincoln. And so what I do all the time, I'm traveling across the country, working with our different strategic partners that we have at both, the coaching level, the brokerage level, all of that. So I'm going to go and just share my PowerPoint screen here right now. And I'm going to start that here. And whenever I do presentations, I kind of like to talk about just our history a little bit, right? Because our company, Anna, has been around for 70 years, right? So 7 decades. We've been in business. And I just think that's important to say, because the idea of prospecting, calling, going out there and creating your own leads hasn't changed, right? So 70 years ago, small businesses were doing that. And today they're doing it as well, right? So for some of you guys on the line who might not be familiar with Cole itself, we're the company that printed what were called the crisscross directories for the longest time. So if you're in Lincoln, Nebraska, where I live, or Houston, Texas, or in New York City, you'd be able to buy one of these crisscross books, the streets in your area in alphabetical order. So like the phone book that had it by last name, but instead our directories were by street name. So let's say you bought a directory for Montana, where you're at right now, Anna, and go flip to the streets and find Patterson Street, and it would tell me everybody who lives on Patterson Street. 501, 502, 503 Patterson Street. Mark and Linda Jones live here. They own their home. Here's their phone number. So you could reach out to neighbors and think hyper local, right? And I remember 15 years ago when I started, I remember Law and Order, the TV series, actually called our marketing team, and they asked for a set of our directories for one of their to be shipped to their set, because they wanted a law detective to use a crisscross directory and call an apartment building and ask if they saw the break-in that happened, right? It's kind of a neat tidbit of story there. And fast forward to where we're at now, it's all online, right? So we provide cell phone numbers and emails, landlines, all tied to a subdivision, a street, a radius, a zip code, etc. And then we charge $99.95 a month for the data itself, where the realtor can go in and grab as much data as you wanted to throughout that subscription.
Very cool.
The focus on is the outreach approach, about prospecting, about going out there and introducing yourself to new people, right? And so through my experience, I'm on the road all the time, and I'm always going to these big events where the top agents in the market are getting interviewed, right? The agents that are on stage are on the front row. And I'll have to tell you, Anna, and you'll probably hear this as well, but one of the common themes that I hear from these agents is they're not making a ton of money of just buying leads, right?
Yep.
Rarely do I hear an agent saying, oh yeah, I'm spending thousands of dollars each month on buying leads from Zillow and we're just crushing it, right? Yeah. I never hear that, because the issue is that you have to have an ROI with anything you do. It's kind of marketing 101 and ROI. And so when you're focusing on chasing leads of people who go on Zillow or realtor.com or web.com, what's happening is those homeowners or buyers, they didn't just go onto one website. They went on to 10, 15 different websites and registered their information. So they're not just getting called by Anna Johnson, realtor now, right? They're getting called by 10, 15 other agents who are all chasing them. Yeah. So it's really hard to convert these guys, and then you're just spending money. So common themes that I hear are from these successful agents who have been in the business for years and have a sustainable business, is that they're focusing on creating more relationships. In order to create more relationships, they're having more conversations, right? They're connecting with more people. You have your sphere, right? You should always be reaching out to your sphere, your database.
Absolutely.
That should be the lifeline of your business. But after that, who are you going to get? Who are you going to talk to, right? So your sphere can only get you so far. So if you're a new agent, well, then you really need to be focusing on adding new people to your sphere, right? And if you're already a successful agent and you want to go to the next level, right? You're already doing 30 transactions a year. That's great. But now how do you want to get to 40, right? How do you want to double your business? And that's where a product like ours comes into play, because it allows you to reach out to more neighbors, right? And having more conversations with these folks. Some of the things I'm going to talk about are during my 3 winning formulas to dominate your communities are reaching out to neighbors around recent, activity, around trigger events. So new listing in your neighborhood, well, now's the time to let all the neighbors know, hey, you can pick your neighbors, right? Let's go. Now's the time to pick your neighbors. You just sold a property. Share the good news with all those neighbors, right? So very non-intrusive ways to do an outreach for a community. I talk about how to do open houses, have charity events, looking at, reaching out to neighbors and neighborhoods and saying, hey, I have buyers that want to live into your neighborhood, right? And then when it comes to marketing, there are different ways. Obviously, mailers are great, but they're kind of expensive, right? I mean, again, we're talking about an ROI and making money. So, if you're going to do mailers, I would then say you got to pick up the phone and follow up with those mailers with phone calls. You got to, drop maybe voicemails using ringless voicemail systems, send emails, upload the same listen to Facebook for custom audiences. So we'll get into that all here as well. Okay, so any questions for me, Anna, before I jump into our really the nuts and bolts of our 3 winning strategies?
I don't think so. I don't see any in the chat either yet, so jump right in.
Okay, cool. So my first case study that I always like to talk about is Greg Harrelson. And he's an agent just out there crushing it. And he's the #1 agent in Myrtle Beach, a top 1% agent nationwide. And I interviewed him recently because he's a mentor for a lot of agents in his community and actually across the country. And he'll say that, how to become a community dominator, right? It's his topic. And I just like using that phrase because it's kind of sexy, right? Community dominator. And so he talks about one of the first ways to go in there and to dominate a community is to hold a charity event and invite all neighbors to participate. Okay, so he talks about doing this, or maybe not even a charity event, a community event, because he goes, it's kind of off-putting if you just call into a neighborhood of people that you don't know and ask what they want to sell their house, right? Sometimes it has kind of a negative, impact for those people that you don't know. So he says one of the first things that he does is a community event, like a movie in the park for the neighborhood, right? Mm-hmm. Get a vending machine or a vendor truck to come to the neighborhood park, or a slushy company that can give out free snow cones to all the neighborhood kids, right? And then it gives them a reason to call and email and door knock and send invites out to that community event, to that neighborhood, right? So he's not asking for their business up front, but what it allows him to do is when he has this outreach and as he's calling these people and as he's meeting them face to face at these events, to ask them questions, right? So questions like, oh, how long have you lived in this neighborhood? Oh, awesome. Where are you from originally? Have you ever thought about moving back there? Right? Anna, what do you love about this neighborhood? What are some of your favorite things that you love about the neighborhood? You don't like? And as you start asking questions, people open up, right? And you'll discover people will say, yeah, we love the neighborhood. Our kids loved growing up here. But you know what? Our last daughter graduated about 2 years ago. A lot of our neighbors, a lot of our friends have moved. It's kind of recycling and, we're maybe looking at downsides, right? But you would have never known that unless you met them face to face and had a conversation with them, right? Those questions. And then that's a lead that no one else knows about. It's an exclusive lead. And then it's your job to nurture that lead as they progress into becoming a transaction at some point. Okay. I have clients who will do like a food drive for the People's City Mission. So they'll call and email everybody and say, hey, we're going to be in the Edenton South Park on Sunday from 12 to 2. We'll be collecting canned food for the People's City Mission. We'd love for you to stop by, and then we'll drop it off at the food shelter on behalf of the Edenton South neighborhood. And if you can't make it, you know, put it on your front porch, we'll pick it up, right? It's just a way to do an outreach. And then once you start, you've done sort of a non-intrusive way of reaching out to folks, then he notifies the neighborhood anytime there's any sort of activity. So what we had talked about, Anna, things like, you know, a new listing in the neighborhood, a just sold in the neighborhood. He'll hold an open house in the neighborhood, right? He'll create an e-newsletter specifically. So again, one of the things that Cole does for $90 a month, you can get unlimited emails for all the neighborhoods that you work with in your market. And so he'll go into our product, grab, you know, the 300 emails at an Edenton South neighborhood, and then he'll email them a newsletter with a subject line of, you know, Edenton South e-newsletter. And he provides them value to be known as an industry expert. So the number of transactions that happen during the month, the number of solds, are home prices up? Are they down? Is there a new restaurant nearby that opened up? He's pretty vocal, you know, that he doesn't send out information about his grandma's chili recipe because he's like, that just makes me look like a cook. He goes, I want to be known as a bank statement for the neighborhood when it comes to houses. So that's the sort of value that he provides. And then he also creates custom Facebook audiences. So anytime, you know, he'll go into our product, get all the cell phone numbers and emails for Edenton South neighborhood, the 800 people that live there. He'll upload those into Facebook and then a custom audience that's super affordable that way. So now these people, he's omnipresent. They see him calling, they see him emailing, they see him on Facebook, and then think long-term. So sometimes you'll meet people that aren't ready to move for 2 years. Other times when you do this outreach, you know, people will say, I can't believe you just reached out. My husband and I are looking to downsize. We're getting divorced. We had somebody pass away. You know, it's just a way to always be in front of people and creating those on your own.
Yeah, that Facebook custom audience, that's a great tool that you can import your database or your list of your book of business into Facebook and run ads to them, or at least see where they are on Facebook. So that's a great tool.
And I don't know how much your folks in your network use Facebook. Facebook has really changed a lot of things when it comes to those custom audiences and how hyper local you can get now. We have hundreds of people who have bought here recently for that reason alone, because Facebook made changes and they're like, no, I need to know who's in Edenton South neighborhood. I need the 800 people in that neighborhood. I don't want advertised three zip codes, you know, or of Lincoln. So
they just rolled out a lot of new features this fall. So if you're not familiar, I'd recommend just kind of Google, you know, a simple Google search. What are the new Facebook features? I think that's the best way to get a short summary.
And we have step-by-step instructions on a lot of that stuff as well. So if you are with us, we'll walk you through it. We have on-demand videos to train you on that feature as well.
Very cool.
Any questions about this portion of it so far, Anna?
Not from me. I don't see any in the chat either. Remember, if you have questions, feel free to chat us and we'll read them out for you.
All right. Perfect. All right. So second case study would be John Mosillo. So he's a client of ours in New Hampshire. We were actually on a mutual Facebook group, and he reached out to me here recently and mentioned that he's used our product and had a lot of success with it, and asked if I could do an interview with him, right? And one of the things that he likes to talk about is that he's not a cold caller. He goes, Tyler, it's not in my blood. I'm sorry, I'm not going to pick up the phone and call people I don't know. But he's had a lot of success with cold calling people, but using with cell phone numbers with Sly Broadcast. And are you familiar with the Sly Broadcast at all, Anna?
Yeah, a little bit, yeah.
Okay, so Sly Broadcast, for some of you guys who might not know about it, essentially what it allows you to do is upload a cell phone number or a list of cell phone numbers, record a voicemail, hit send, and it blasts out the voicemail, but the cell phone doesn't ring, and the voicemail is automatically dropped onto the voicemail. So it costs about a penny or two per delivered voicemail, completely separate company of ours, but it's a great way to get your message out there really effectively and affordably. So his study is that he had buyers that lived in a neighborhood right now. They actually owned their home and they wanted to move. And they said, John, hey, you can sell our property, but only until you find us a house in our dream neighborhood. They lived on a really busy street and they had young kids. And so they wanted to be in a really quiet neighborhood. So John went into our product, grabbed the 500 cell phone numbers for a certain subdivision that they wanted to live in, downloaded it to Excel, uploaded it into Sly Broadcast, and he dropped a voicemail, something like this. Hey there, my name is John. I'm a local realtor. My office is just down the street from your neighborhood. And I was calling because I have a great family that currently lives on Bordeaux Drive. It's a super street in town if you're not familiar with it. And they want to live in your neighborhood. It's a quiet neighborhood, big trees. It's close to Maxey Elementary. I was wondering if you knew of anybody who's looking to sell here in the future, if I could maybe bring my buyers to the property and see if it would fit their needs. If you're interested in doing that, let me know. Here's my phone number, right? So he dropped that voicemail. He sent an email, the same sort of specifics in the email, subject line, buyers looking in, Pine Oak subdivision, whatever it was. Fast forward, he had a retired couple who was looking to downsize, who the wife replied to his email, and ironically, the husband returned his voicemail. He brought his buyers to the property. They loved it and met their needs. He got a pocket listing out of the deal, so double transaction. And then he leveraged that as a way to sell their house as well on the buyers who owned a house on the busy street. So I would challenge all of you guys to maybe think of this as a way to go out there as an outreach of, I have a great family that wants to live close to their in-laws. I have a retired couple that wants to live close to a golf course or close to a lake. A way to go out there and introduce yourself and do an outreach. Okay, but just kind of a non-intrusive way, again, to go out there and introduce yourself. And again, as you're having conversations with people, then it gives you additional leads after the fact as well, because it gives you a reason to talk to folks. And then the last case study for the third formula to dominate your communities would be leveraging open houses as a way to have those conversations. So Kyle Whistle, he's similar to Greg Harrelson, as he's an agent out there crushing it. He's in San Diego, #1 agent in San Diego, listed as the number 79 agent in the country via Wall Street Journal. Been a client of ours off and on for about 10 years as well. And when I interviewed him here recently, he talks about how he does an exclusive open house for just the neighbors on the Friday before every open house that he does on the public on Sundays, right? So he'll call, email, door knock. He actually sends out flyers mails them out, like professional looking flyers, inviting them to the open house, right? A lot of times he'll get a food truck to stop by, puts it out in front of the driveway of the open house, and then it just gives him a chance to have conversations with neighbors, right? He makes sure to get contact information from anybody who stops by. So anybody who comes, he asks them questions as well. The same sort of questions. Where are you from originally? What brought you here? Have you thought about moving? Questions like that as well. And he says if it helps you sell the house, that's great. But it's rare that it actually helps him sell the house. His ultimate goal is this helps him create meaningful relationships with neighbors who may be wanting to sell soon. Because a lot of times the neighbors who do stop by, they're the ones that want to see the inside of the Joneses' house so they can compare it to theirs. And if the Jones, if they're going to get $400,000 for their house, man, we could get it for ours as well. Mm-hmm. One other tidbit on this strategy, guys, is if you already have a listing, so there's things. If you don't have a listing yet and you're going in for the listing appointment, this can help you get the listing, right? So if you're competing against 2 or 3 other agents, and you'll say, yeah, I'll call around when I get a new listing, I'll call all the neighbors and let them know. I'll do an open house and I'll invite all the neighbors to the open house. Do you know any other agents that's going to do that? So I have agents who say that they get listings by just saying they're going to do this stuff, right? And then if you have the listing and it's taken a little while to sell, you can go back to Mr. and Mrs. Seller and say, hey, you know, part of our agreement is that I was going to call everybody, email everybody in the neighborhood. You know, I did those things and the house still hasn't sold. It might be time for a price adjustment, right? So you're giving something back and asking for return for a price adjustment. Okay. So yeah, those are the 3 winning strategy of using data as a way to go in there and introducing yourself with a really high ROI on the leads that you create. Just a summary of Cole again, guys. It's $99.95 a month with a 3-month commitment. After that, it rolls out to a month-to-month service. It's unlimited data. You get names, addresses, landlines, cell phones, emails. You can search by radius, neighborhood, street, and we provide a lot of other data elements such as income, credit range, length of residence, hobbies. We scripting ideas, training, all of that as well. I'm happy to give a little quick, you know, tour even and show you guys how it works, but I don't want that to be about I don't want that to be the focus either. So you kind of let me know, Anna, on the next here.
Yeah, I just was seeing if anyone had any questions over in the chat, or wanted Tyler to go in more detail on one of the formulas or one of the points. Let us know here before we jump and move on. And this will be saved to our Facebook page after, right? We're recording it. So you can watch a replay. We'll have the slides up. You can screenshot them.
Yep, absolutely.
Brian said he'd be interested in seeing the system.
Okay. Yeah, so let me just do, wrong screen here. Let me go in here real quickly and I'll just do a quick, do a quick screen share here. Sorry, I got it wrong. All right, so I'm here. My screen now.
Yep. So
here, guys, I'll just do a quick tour. So if you guys contact our inside sales team here, just make sure you mention this partnership that we have together, and you'll get the best price always that we offer. And then if you can call and ask for a tour so you can check out your own neighborhood, all that fun stuff as well. But if you log in, once you sign up, you get access to your entire state. And I know that you don't need the entire state, right? We know that, that's for sure. But you get access to your entire state. And you can actually either do a zip code search or a neighborhood search. So for example, I could say, hey, I want everybody in my zip code of 68516 who owns their home, who let's say has been here for 7+ years. I could say who has a credit rating of 650 or higher. And again, I don't want to go into too many details because there's a lot of different criteria that you could put in, you know, different things. Like if you own a motorcycle and you want to go after people who own motorcycles, you could talk Harley talk, right?
So, or Tyler, question for you. Under consumer behavior, where is that information pulled from? How do you know what people's interests are?
Yeah, so it'd be like, you know, what magazines you subscribe to, what you're visiting. You know, we work with 100 of different data companies to kind of get this data and compile it. So yeah, for example, maybe you're doing a big golf tournament and you want to invite everybody who likes golfing in the zip codes that you're in. You could do that.
Yeah.
Lots of different ways. And then below, step 3, what type of list would you like to create? I'm going to go in and say, I want a list where all of my records have at least one email address. Okay, so I could just say all possible records. But now in a few seconds, I have 3,800 records that are displaying. And again, that's everybody who has a credit rating of 650 or higher, has at least one email address, and owns their home, been there for 7 years. And then I could just—
same zip code, yep.
Yep, download my list to Excel, and I could just put it into Excel and boom, I'm off and going. So it's really quick and easy to get data in front of your eyes. It's just making the data actionable. And that's where we spend a lot of time on training, right? To make sure that here's ideas on what you should say and when you're calling and when you're emailing, all of that stuff. The second main feature, and I'd say probably the bread and butter of our product, is by neighborhood. And so you can actually do a subdivision search somewhere else, or you could go here and just going to ask you for a starting point address of an area that you want to go after. Or if you don't know that address and just know a street, you could do that as well. I'm going to take out my criteria now, and I'm just going to pull up everybody in that neighborhood. And so I'm actually using an old house that we used to live in. We rent it now, so it's going to bring up our renters, but it's kind of an older established neighborhood where the house I live in now we just built a few months ago, so it's not a great example to bring up. But we're going to see here in a second, it's going to tell me who actually lives at that property, right? So the Essence live there. And so if you expireds that come up in your MLS, you could look at those up one by address, try to find their contact information. But I'm going to go in here and pick map out the neighborhood. So I'm going to map it out now. Okay. And then, oh shoot, of course, freeform plotting. I'm going to map it out. And you can do this, you know, on this side of both churches. And again, your list now could be 50 people or 5,000 people, right? Depending on how big of an area that you map out. But it's going to tell me now everybody in that specific neighborhood. And some of them will have email, some will have cell phones. It'll be a little bit of everything. On average, we have a landline for about a cell phone for about half of all people, and then an email for about half of all people as well. So you can see it's just kind of a combination. I'm sorry, on the household level. So when you look at the household level, a cell phone, so you know, like our friends Nikki and Eric Sprague, we have a cell phone for Eric, Nicole, a landline tied to Eric, and then an email for Eric. So it's just kind of up and down as we go. And these lists, you can actually add additional data attributes to them as well. So now maybe I want to know the age of each person. I want to know maybe their income level, their credit rating, you know, things like that we could add to the list as well, just to kind of maybe focus on certain. So I'm going to add income here.
Yeah, it depends on what your purpose is for using the list.
Exactly.
So
yep. So I'm going to add. Yep. I'm going to add length of residence because I know that people like that, and maybe the lender name as well. And so now, you know, if you're going to farm a neighborhood and own a neighborhood, you want to call, email everybody, because you'd never know. Even it's funny. One of our neighbors, even though he just built a house, he got transferred with the railroad, lived there for less than a year, right? However, I would say you might want to focus on maybe door knocking everybody who's been there for 15 years.
Yep.
If they're above the age of 50, then maybe they get a different email campaign from you versus somebody who's under the age of 40, you know, different ways like that.
Yeah, email or text campaign if they're younger, you know, those differences can really make a difference.
Absolutely.
Your list.
So that's kind of the product in general. There's lots of other features, but that's kind of a little quick 3-minute tour on how the system works as well. Any questions about the product itself?
I don't see any over in the chat. I don't have any either. Just to clarify, it's $99.95 a month with the 3-month commitment. There it is. You can download and export the data and import it into the CRM that you use. And so we use Wise Agent, and Wise Agent has a feature to enhance contacts with. So, you know, like you said, there were a few cell numbers that were missing. Should you import them into Wise Agent would have that feature to capture that remaining missing info. So you can see those two tools working nicely together.
Yeah, and actually I know Wise Agent, they're one of our integrated partners. So you actually, on our export screen, you actually can pick Wise Agent as your download option, and then it'll actually push the data right into Wise Agent. So you don't even have to worry about downloading and uploading. They're one of our integrated. They're great. They're a great company.
Very cool. Well, thank you, Tyler. This was great.
Yep. Thanks, everybody. I really appreciate the opportunity. And so I always leave these you know, little 30-minute sessions of saying, hey, go out there and just make it happen. So there's lots of products out there. I'd love for you to use Cole, but if not, I'm not going to hurt my feelings. You guys fear you all the database. So just try this for me. Go out there, go lock yourself in a room or your office, whatever it is, for 2 hours at one day and make phone calls. Could be your sphere, could be past clients, could be whatever it is. See what happens, right? You're going to have success. You're going to create some leads, and then just knowing that you can expand that with the more effort that you put into it. Okay. So beautiful. I appreciate the opportunity, Anna. And if you have any questions, guys, reach out to us.
Sounds good. Everyone have a great day. Thank you.
All right, thanks. Bye.